A half lap joint is basically taking one board and overlapping another board. There's a lot of ways that you can overlap boards. You could do one on the end, you could overlap in the center, you could even overlap and add these together like this, like a tongue and groove. But the most difficult part that I find, especially if I've got a whole bunch of these that I have to do, is to find the exact place where I'm going to make my cuts. Well, I've got a jig today that will help us find those cuts. And it works like this. So let's say I want to overlap these two boards like this. I'll come to the center of this board. So this board is 20 inches. I come to about 10 inches in. I'm going to add a mark. Each of these boards are 2.5 inches wide. So I've set my jig at 1.25 inches, and I'll put it right on that mark. I'll grab a pencil. Now I know exactly where I need to start cutting to cut this out. If you want to overlap two boards like this, I take the jig again, and it's going to overlap it like this, and I can kind of angle the board a little bit, stick my nail in, and now I can make my mark. Now I just have to come in here and cut out half of this material using table saw, radial arm saw, circular saw, or a miter saw. Then the other piece I'll do the same thing, and they will overlap. And that's basically how this jig works. So let's go ahead and get started with this build and make one of these. Now this is all that you're going to need right here. I've got a piece of 3/4 inch plywood that's 12 inches long by 2 inches wide. I've also got another piece of 3/4 inch plywood that's just slightly bigger than 6 inches and 4.5 inches wide. I've got knurled knobs. These are 6/32. I've got machine screws that are 3/4 inch long, and then I've got my insert over here, my wood insert. These are 6/32. And I've got a nail here. I've got a 12 gauge piece of steel here that's 1 inch wide. Again, it's 12 inches long. To insert this 12 gauge piece of steel into this wood, I'll be using a 3/32 saw blade. We're only going to be using 2 inches of this, but because we want to cut this on the table saw, we want to be a little bit more safe, so we're going to keep it longer. I laser engrave this with my laser engraver. If you have a laser burner, I've left files on the website to do this. The other option is to take a couple rulers and butt them together like this. And honestly, you don't even have to use rulers if you don't want to. We'll come over about 3/8 to 1/2 inch away from the edge here, and we're just going to cut straight down the middle of this. But we only want to go 1/2 inch with our cut. We'll go ahead and do that now. I've gone ahead and raised my blade so that it's 1/2 inch above the table. I've set my fence so that it's 1 7/16 away from the edge of the blade over here. I'm going to go ahead and cut through this. With this cut, you can see that this fits in here like that. It's got about 1/2 inch above the surface. Go ahead and add a little bit of epoxy in here. Now we'll go ahead and slide this in. We'll go ahead and cut the head of this nail off. Now you could use any kind of nail, it really doesn't matter. We're only going to use this as something that we can push our wood into. I'm just going to let it hang over the edge just a little bit. Go ahead and squeeze this on. Something else you could do is you could just take a carving knife, just kind of cut in a little bit of a groove. I'm going to use a little bit of epoxy to hold that in place. There we go. With my 4.5 by 6 inch piece of plywood, I'm going to put it in a vise. Now you don't have to use a vise, but it does need to be upright like this so that you can drill into it. I'm going to go over 1 inch. The kerf of my blade, which is 3/32 of an inch, and I'll go over 1 inch again. I'll bring a square in. Now none of this has to be absolutely perfect. Cross my diagonals because I want to find the center. I'll go ahead and use an awl on the top. We'll drill both of these out at 1/4 inch. Now I drill down 1 inch when I drill these out. I left my blade at 1/2 inch up, and my fence is now 1/2 inch away from the blade. And I'll go ahead and make my cut. We want to have the holes up against the fence. Now I'll raise the blade so that this cuts all the way through the plywood. I'll line it up to those marks as best as I can. Now I'll mix up a little bit of epoxy and I'll add my insert. I'll go ahead and turn this in so it's below the surface. Now to finish these off, we'll add a little thread lock, and you don't have to use these knurled thumb knobs if you don't want to. You could use a wing nut, it would be just fine. We'll come back when this is done. Well, this is pretty much how you make this jig. It's pretty simple. Now, if you don't want to add rulers to the center, you really don't have to. You can take this, push it up against each other like this. You wouldn't need to use that nail at all. And then you'd set this at this width, just like that. Pull this out. Now you'd have to measure the edge to the arm. And again, just like that. It's really simple. It can be as complicated as you want it to be. I like the ruler because I like to have that kind of control, but it's not necessary. Anyway, that's this jig. Let me know in the comments what you think. If this is something that you would make, let me know.